I'm Megan Skidmore. For 2.5 years, I have been talking about evolving faith journeys. I started to tire of the heaviness of this focus. I had the clear message come through. It is time for Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast to evolve into Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. With the same vulnerability and unapologetic authenticity, I will be focusing on the joy in this journey, the life and the living that comes on the other side of maybe, on the other side of what's possible. I want to talk about claiming spiritual sovereignty and becoming your own captain of your vessel. Let's celebrate releasing what no longer aligns for you and connecting with your higher power and honor expanding your energy field to make room for all things new. The vibration is high this month on Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Pretense is dropped and caution thrown to the wind in each interview. I am dropping a new episode daily, spotlighting one of the amazing, soul-led, heart-centered authors of Joan of Arc Publishing, or JOA Publishing, founded by Kira Brinton. Like the namesake for this publishing house, each one embodies the fearless, God-centered spirit left by the legacy of Joan of Arc. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. Well, welcome, Kendra, to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so pleased to have you. I'm so looking forward to getting to know you. So many of these interviews are coming from that mutual conference that pretty much everybody whose episode is on for the month of February. If we hadn't met in person yet, we did there. Many I'd met online or virtually, but I hadn't met you yet. So I'm so excited to get to know your story, Kendra. So let's just get going here. Tell everybody about you, who you are, where you're from, your family, faith, profession, education.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Kendra Hilty. I'm an ADHD coach who helps ADHDers stop the negative thought spiral and turn schedule chaos into clarity without the shame, burnout, or boring productivity hacks. My work is all about helping people raise their self-esteem, master time management, and improve their health in a way that works for their brain and not against it. It's been the honor of my life doing this work. And a little bit about my background is I grew up in a stereotypical middle-class WASPy home. It was me, WASPy, right, white, Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's my family, especially WASP.
I gotcha.
Yeah, my dad's side of the family is the definition of a WASP, yes.
That's hilarious.
So it was me, my younger brother. I'm sure that there are a lot of eldest daughters that listen to your podcast and that know the struggle that can come along with being an eldest daughter. And it was my parents, and my parents are still together. They've been married almost 40 years. We grew up going to a Presbyterian church, which is how my dad was raised, hence the WASPy, the Protestant. But my mom grew up Catholic, so we still had lots of that Catholic guilt sprinkled into our upbringing because that's hard to let go of unless there's a lot of work there. Like many neurodivergent children, I spent much of my life feeling like an outsider. My dad struggled with emotional maturity, and my mom, who I now realize had undiagnosed ADHD, she did her best, but emotional support wasn't really something that I received much of growing up. And church usually felt like a safe place for me, and it still does, honestly, and I'm very grateful for that. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was in college, and all of a sudden my world shifted. I realized that I was not fundamentally flawed and that my weaknesses like procrastination and struggle with time management were things that I could learn to fix.
That's really beautiful. So yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard the WASP acronym. I'm going to remember that. That's pretty hilarious. I can see the painting of the Arizona sunset in the background. Are you from Arizona originally or elsewhere?
So both of my parents have ties in the Midwest. However, my mom was in the Air Force after she graduated from nursing school. and she was stationed in Davis Monthan in the early mid 80s. And my dad, they weren't married at the time. He followed her out. And Tucson's such an easy place to live. It used to be a secret when I was growing up how awesome the city is, but it's slowly people are learning and more people are moving here, but they're making this place better. And anyway, so my mom was stationed at Davis Monthan, the large Air Force base here. And her and my dad, when her service was done, they were like, why would we ever leave this place? And they settled and brought a life here. And my uncle, my mom's brother, came out and visited, and he moved out shortly after too in the 80s. So I have lots of cousins here, and they all have kids. And when I graduated from the U of A here in Tucson, I moved up to Portland, Oregon, and was there for almost a decade. And I loved it. But the call of home and the call of family became too strong to ignore. And so I'm back in the desert and very grateful to be back.
Awesome. What a beautiful family and background. I caught what you said about growing up. You always felt like an outsider. And then you also said when you were an adult-ish time frame, I think, maybe teenager. I'm thinking you were an adult. You learned you weren't fundamentally flawed after all. I would love to dive in a little bit deeper. But first, really quickly, you said that church was always a safe place. So you didn't necessarily feel like an outsider there growing up.
Correct. I mean, of course, I had little moments like with my peers at church, but the leaders in the church really supported me.
That makes all the difference.
It really does. Yes. Yes.
Sometimes it's kind of like a crapshoot. So I'm glad that you had leaders that were open-minded and embracing of all kinds of differences or diversity.
Absolutely.
Let's not let that word die.
Yes. We won't. Keep talking about it and keep showing up, especially for our trans brothers and sisters and children.
Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
I agree, 1,000%. So a lot of what I talk about on this podcast are how faith journeys can evolve over time, especially when you learn something or realize something that maybe you hadn't seen before or realized before. And maybe that has occurred in your faith journey. But I'm curious to know, this is maybe a little bit more personal for you then. Your faith journey could be interwoven into it, but can you speak to how was that process for you to learn you weren't actually fundamentally flawed? I mean, that is a big deal to be growing up with that belief. Like there's something wrong with you. You're different than everybody else. I have things that are, I don't know, hard for me, a struggle for me. I don't fit in. I'm different. I'm flawed. Like you're essentially telling yourself you were born wrong. Can you speak to that process for you?
Absolutely.
I would love that.
So I grew up thinking that something was fundamentally wrong with me and that I was unfixable. I carried that weight through my 20s and 30s, actually. It helped a little bit when I first got my ADHD diagnosis in college, but the wounds from childhood were still very much, I allowed them to run the show.
I see.
And it really wasn't until I got sober from alcohol in 2021 that I started to truly like myself.
Okay.
And began to really rekindle my relationship with God. And through that process of the 20s and 30s, before getting sober and not loving myself, I looked for love in others, especially in the men that I dated. And as you can guess, looking for love in others did not end up well for me. And I ended up attracting men into my life who reflected how little I valued myself. And that reinforced the belief that I had that I was unlovable. And that belief really ran deep. And untangling it has been some of the most important work that I have ever done in my life. And really what made the biggest shift for me and what encouraged me to become an ADHD coach to help other ADHDers learn this tool is I learned cognitive behavioral therapy or positive cognitive reframing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the knowledge and the wisdom that our feelings come from our thoughts. And we can shift how we feel about ourselves and about situations by shifting our thoughts. And when I learned how to shift my inner dialogue, my whole life changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have horrible inner thoughts, and so much so that they were my constant loop. And many ADHDers have this. It's something about our brains where we just tend to go towards the negative. And so these thoughts were in my head, and I learned to pay attention to them and do something about it. So, for instance, if I made a mistake, I may automatically feel ashamed and think, wow, I'm a loser and I can't do anything right. Now I'm able to catch that thought, which before it was like the normal background, my ADHD noise in my head, these negative thoughts about myself. So now I catch myself thinking negatively. I write it down and I replace it with a positive but rational thought, such as, I'm a human who makes mistakes, and that's okay. I give myself compassion as I learn and grow. And that one shift, learning how to talk to myself with kindness and compassion, has changed everything for me.
That's great. So I didn't catch, I caught that you went to the U of A.
Mm-hmm.
Did you study counseling or are you an LMFT or I missed that part.
I'm actually not. I studied business at school
Oh,
and
okay.
I was in retail for 12 years. And coaching kind of fell into my lap.
Got it.
I love psychology and I learn about psychology. And actually, in business school, I did learn a lot of psychology, like the
Okay.
psychology of
Yeah,
sales.
true.
And it was
Mhm.
so interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm a big human design fan
Mhm.
and I am a projector. And projectors are 20% of the population, and we are here to learn and understand others and to guide others. But we have to live our strategy of being invited to guide others. So I started being invited to guide middle and high schoolers that were ADHD
Oh.
on how to get better grades. I started by tutoring middle and high schoolers, just as like a side hustle outside of my retail job.
As part of my commitment to giving back, every first Friday of the month, I offer a free coaching hour. Anyone is welcome to join, and you may leave your camera off and change your name if you would like to remain anonymous. This is an opportunity to get introduced to my style of holistic coaching and what it would be like to work with me. Gain real skills, insight relevant to you, and fresh perspective on life circumstances. Each month is a different topic. For those attending, there will be opportunities for a complimentary one-off energy alignment session. Once registered, you will have access to discount codes for my other offerings. To get the link, including all the resources, register to complete the agreement at the link in the show notes.
And then
That's quite the side hustle.
it was fun. It was fun and so rewarding. But then the moms started seeing how I was shifting their children, and they started asking me to help them with their goals. And that's how I got into coaching. And it's just been incredibly rewarding. And being able to leave my full-time job in order to help my fellow ADHDers with these skills that I have learned after hating myself for so long, after struggling with time management for so long,
Right.
after not taking care of my body, now teaching those skills to others. Ooh, it's my life's work. It's beautiful.
And it's so needed. I am sure your clients and their parents are forever grateful
Yes.
that they have crossed paths with you. I'm so grateful we're getting your story out. There is a huge need for coaches who work with kiddos that have those tendencies toward ADHD or neurodivergence.
Yes. At this point in my career, I am mostly open or working with adults. However,
Okay.
I absolutely still have some teenage clients
Awesome.
because it's so important to get them young
Mhm.
and to
Mhm.
show them what it means to have self-esteem and to show up for themselves young. It's wonderful.
Totally.
Yes.
So you and I met at the Success Codes live event mid-January. And in that community, people are connected either through they're writing their book or thinking of it with JOA Publishing, Joan of Arc Publishing, or they're part of the Mosaic Network or a little bit of both. Can you share about your connection there? Like what's on the plans for you or maybe already in the works?
Absolutely. So the story of how I was connected with Mosaic and with Kira is a really special one to me.
Oh, I can't wait.
It involves my cousin Christy, who I think is going to be on this podcast.
Yes. Yes, I met Christy.
Yes. So Christy is 10 years older than me, and I
Mhm.
have my whole life looked up to her.
Mhm.
Just she has been my hero, and she continues to be my hero. And that's also been another wonderful thing about moving back to Tucson is being in close proximity to Christy because she's in Phoenix.
Love it.
And Christy introduced me to human design. Christy is a model for me on how to channel. Christy has shifted my relationship with God. She performed something called connection to the creator. And I can't wait for her to talk about that. She also does soul contract readings. She's very tuned in.
That's great.
And I was feeling an emotional low last month. And I prayed to God. And I said, God, will you please send me a woman who will help me grow my business? And Christy called me 2 days later. She left me a voice message and she said, Kendra, I just woke up. This is when I get channeled messages. And I got a message that I need to invite you to this conference called Success Codes.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow.
And she said, you need an invite. And my strategy as a projector is to be invited. So there she was inviting me. Yeah. And I was just blown away. And that's something that Kira said at Success Codes that really was a reflection of that, is that I don't want to not butcher, but say this incorrectly, but it was essentially that the clarity of our ask to God reflects what he can give us.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. She says that in our masterminds a lot.
Yes.
I think she says this, the specificity of our ask, it's not that word exactly, but
yes,
is the magnet to our result.
Yes.
So however, in other words, get clear, ask.
Clear.
One thing I've loved that she's taught me and you know, everybody in the group is if you're one who gives value to Holy Writ, right? In the Bible, it doesn't say to ask and then maybe you'll receive, or if you do, check all these things, then you'll receive. It just says to ask and you'll receive.
Yes.
And somewhere, somehow along the lines, I hadn't caught that in the same way as how she explained it. It's been within, I don't know. It kind of time blends together, especially this past month. It feels like I've lived a couple of lives in the past month.
Yes. Same. We are quantum leaping right now.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yes. And it's things are going to have to burn before we can rebuild, but I'm along for the ride. And I'm here to guide.
I got the matches. Let's go.
That's right, Megan. Yes. So
you came to Success Codes Live.
And I had no idea who Kira was, what her story was. I was just there because Christy invited me. I slept on it. I slept on the invitation, which is important for me. I woke up. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going. So I cleared out my schedule for Thursday and Friday, drove up Thursday morning, and I found out that Kira helps people channel their books. And it has been my goal for probably a year or two. I've had it on the back burner to write a book.
That's great.
I'm really called towards the memoir genre. I love memoirs. I love reading them. And I know in my heart that I will write one eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love
Right,
with Kira.
right.
And then another incredible thing that happened was the breathwork session that also answered a prayer of mine. I'd felt this heaviness over my heart. And for the last like several months after learning to clear out my head of the negativity, I heard this heaviness on my heart, felt it. And so I asked God, please send me someone that can help me break down these walls, because it doesn't matter how many inner child meditations I do. I'm struggling. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's got it up. And Jeremy Mudick, his
Mm-hmm.
breath work session
Yeah.
blew that wall open, just blew
Mm-hmm.
it down. And I had so many prayers answered during that conference. And I am incredibly grateful
Yeah.
for Kira
It's
and Christy for the invitation, and
it
to
is
you.
miraculous. Yes, it's so
It is.
miraculous. So
Yeah.
many breakthroughs came for me
Oh,
as well. Yeah, that's a huge part of this quantum leap that's going on, actually.
yes. And I loved, she was just hyping herself up. Kira was an incredible view of vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
of not only success, but
Mm-hmm.
also being able to cry, being
Yeah.
able to show when she's struggling, being able to throw the rules out the freaking window. Cause
Yeah.
like, I don't know if she's diagnosed, but she's definitely a fellow ADHDer. So I like really
Mhm.
resonated with her just writing her own rules.
Right. Yeah.
It was inspiring.
I have learned vulnerability begets vulnerability. It's not always the easiest, but wow, the dividends, if we're talking in terms of kind of a number analogy, yeah,
Yeah.
they're immeasurable, really. So this is great. I've loved learning this about you, Christy, and I'm sorry, Kendra,
Okay,
and
you'll
your
talk to Christy too.
story.
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
Please, I love Christy. I love her. So call me
Christy on the
Christy
brain.
all day.
Um, one of the questions I like to ask last of my guests is a reflection of the title of my podcast, which is a reflection on my faith journey, how I really resisted allowing doubts and questions to come up for me when I especially was in the beginning stages, because I realized how much shame and guilt and just awful feelings about myself. Like, what does this mean about me if I'm having these, right? So I want to put doubt and questions in the limelight that they should be in. They're not a shameful thing. It's actually expected. It's actually the way we learn. You're not going to expand or grow or increase if you're not asking questions. So, the question I have for you then is, what does living beyond the shadow of doubt mean to you?
Hmm. What it means to me is that my high self, or God, or universe, whatever you want to call it, will always support me, even when I
Mm,
don't have the answers, even through what you just beautifully said, the shadows and the doubts that life gives us. That's when God is especially there for me. I'm getting chills right now. And
yeah,
thank
yeah,
God for that, because I am never alone.
agree. 100%. And isn't that a gift to know that and to feel that, right?
Yes.
So I've loved this so very much. We'll make sure to include in the show notes ways that folks can reach out and contact you, especially if they have questions about your work and want to meet you virtually or otherwise. But before we finish, I love to throw out some for fun questions so that we can get to know you a little bit better. I'm just looking for one or two word answers. First one is, tell us your favorite book.
Definitely Sober Curious by Ruby Warrington. It was the book that inspired me to get sober from alcohol. And Ruby Warrington is an incredible thought leader that's alive right now.
Hey, okay, that's a good one. Okay, tell us, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert?
I'm an extrovert who loves her alone time.
That's a good one. It's a good way to put it. And who's your favorite artist?
For music, it's definitely Pichka. She calls herself her favorite, or excuse me, she says, I'm your favorite healer's favorite artist. And the more I listen to
Mm,
her music, the more I am a healer, and I claim that. I love
great.
her. Pichka.
I don't know that one. I'll have to look her up. Are you a night owl or are you a morning lark?
I'm a night owl naturally, but I'm trying to become a morning lark because my brain feels better when I go to bed early and wake up early.
Yeah, I feel that one. And tell us your celebrity crush if you have one.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was Barack Obama because he's single now, right? I'm just kidding. I think some celebrity gossip right there.
I hadn't heard
Barack and Michelle
that.
are getting divorced.
Okay.
But yeah, he's the first
Oh,
president I had the honor of voting for in 2008, and I'll
gotcha.
forever have a crush on him and what he did for our country.
Great. And still, or carbonated water, diet soda, or some other beverage?
Love carbonated water. Being sober, carbonated water has helped me so much. And then also, I love still water with electrolytes.
Ah, that's a good one too. And finally, the furthest place you've traveled.
It's also my favorite place that I've traveled, and that's Greece.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's on the bucket list. How fun, fun, fun.
Oh,
Well, Kendra, it's been a pleasure to get to know you and to have you
thank
on the
you.
podcast.
And I'd love to connect with your listeners. They can find
Yes.
me on Instagram at Kendra Hilty.
Okay.
And that's where I share ADHD friendly strategies to help ADHDers stop the negative thought spiral. And then if people have any questions or want to learn more about working with me,
Hmm.
they can either DM me on Instagram or email me at info@kendrahiltycoaching.com.
Okay. We'll make sure and leave all of that in the show notes to make it easy.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome. This has been fantastic. Appreciate you.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Writer, teacher, author, Mormon scholar, and founder of Dialogue Journal, Eugene England said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue." As a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, my hope is that Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast is an extension of that vision. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com to find this podcast and additional free resources, including the link for a complimentary coaching session. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more or to send me a DM. Help the podcast grow. Please follow, review, and share with a friend.